No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
All right, and we're back with the much-promised episode 9. We've got two of the top CV players in the game here with us today. They're going to teach Spectre a little bit about how to play CVs because, frankly, he needs the help. And we've got Seanxiezhou and Carrier ZuikakuKai here with us. And I'm sure Spectre is waiting to take a shot at me for that. But before he does, let's go around the table here. And let's start with you, Zuikaku. Give us a little background on kind of your gaming experience, where you are, what you do.
Hi everyone, I'm Carrier ZuikakuKai. I'm currently in Kantai on WoWs. I'm also one of the team leaders in Supremacy League currently, but although I'm a normal member in Kantai only. And talking about gaming experience though, I had little experience on FPS games because I played Counter-Strike for like a whole 5 or 6 years, like continuous and discontinuously. Then I mostly play action and MMORPGs more. WoWs is my first game on touching board gaming games as well.
All right, how about you, Sean?
Oh yeah, I've been playing same as Zuikaku. I played Counter-Strike when I started for like about 5 or 6 years, and then I started to play StarCraft and Warcraft, and then I go that route. So that's why I prefer like CV style sort of playing. That's better for me.
It's more the real-time strategy for you. Is that kind of what draws you to it?
I like the real-time strategy kind of games. Yes.
Well, Zuikaku, would you say that CV for you is that your favorite class of ship to play, or is it just something you like to do?
But I would say why I touched CVs is because when Midway was OP, when he had the 2 dive torpedo bombers, that's why I touched it. And finally playing out, I think that it's not really like people think it's an easy class, so I keep playing it. Although not the most I played, but like, yeah, it's still fun in some ways.
All right, Spectre, it's your turn to get a shot back at me if you want.
Sorry, you cut out the end there.
I said it's your chance to get a shot back at me if you'd like.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, at least my gameplay is salvageable. No one can possibly help you out of the rut you're in. Secondly, I guess let's start with, the big question. The balance of carriers at tier 10. Let's just start with just between the carriers right now. I personally, from my own experience, feel like right now, after they remove the second torpedo bomber squadron from the Midway, the Hakuryu is by and far the more favored carrier. Just because it's 3 torpedo bomber squadrons, can very reliably hit destroyers and such. What are your guys' thoughts about this? Because the Midway does sport those 3 really, really hard-hitting dive bomber squadrons. But, what kinds of views do you guys have on this?
Should I start first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. For me, I think, Hakuyu is definitely better overall, like, average if you want to kill, like, those DDs and all that battleships. But Midway still has its edge to do carrier snipe. So right now you have the AA boost, but the dive bomber still can do a decent amount of damage. I mean, you can rack a carrier like within 2 waves. That's pretty easy. But for me, that's not really fun to play that way. But I prefer to like kill DDs and all that stuff.
Agreed.
So
Yeah. For me,
any
I
thoughts?
also have the same opinion. Sorry.
No, sorry, go
kept
ahead.
saying it. For me, I have the same thought. Hakuryu is currently more superior than Midway. Like, Midway is now actually a little bit underpowered. Not saying that it can't control the air, but like, despite this difference of squadrons, the amount of squadrons, they can't do really much things. Even they can snipe someone out, it's totally relying on RNG on your dive bombers more.
Well, so do you think, if I try to pull the stats, and it's hard to pull them from like pre the torpedo bomber change and post that, but I think some of the perceptions are, at least for me, and I don't play high tier CVs, is that, hey, US CVs are going to shoot down more planes and the hack's going to do higher damage. But when I started looking at the data, it it definitely does not reflect that at all. The higher average damage and the highest average damage by a player is definitely in a midway, and the hack shoots down more planes. So again, I wasn't able to parse it out from pre and post that shift with the bomber, but I mean, if you look at the difference in the highest average damage by a player, then I'm not sure one torpedo bomber is really going to make that average there, right?
Well, first of all, at least on NA, the guy who holds highest damage on the midway is actually right here in this channel. He can probably tell you a little bit about how he got that. And secondly, I mean, I think most of us here would probably agree that double torpedo bomber midway was very, very powerful, to say the least. Some would argue overpowered. So I guess I want to throw it to Zuikaku. What would Wargaming have to do if they wanted to bring the carriers back into line with each other?
To be honest, saying there's only one way to bring midways back is to add the plane's health. Currently, comparing the strafes, because comparing not on data type, on strafes, midway and hack crew strafes are actually almost having the same attack power, which means that if they strafe on each other, midway is gonna lose a little bit more if it doesn't start its strafe earlier. So in order to let midway get the air superiority to actually shoot down some planes on strafing rather than just trying to do dogfights, they need to add a little bit plane health to them. Because right now you have enough striking power for midway already. Like those 1,000-pound bombers, just poof, there goes your 30k HP with 3 of them. So don't need to get anything out of it more. And I think if you put back double torpedo bombers on midway, that would be back to its OP ages. It's really terrifying when you can do 220k per game without even trying.
So for both of you, in your midway stats, have you guys kind of stopped playing the midway? Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm not sure though. Sean, how do you feel? How much midway games have you played since?
For me, after they removed the one group of 12, and I just kind of stopped playing because it take away the fun for me. I like to cross top those CDs and all that other ships, and just if you do a dive bomber, that's purely RNG. That's not really fun for me. So that's why I stopped playing and just picked up Hakuyu recently.
For me, that was I played more midway games before. Before the change, I played 50 games, and after the change, I played 70 something. Why I played that much is because at the start, the strafe damage, they haven't really raised the strafe damage yet. So, and of course, tier 10 carriers tier 8 carriers or above doesn't have defensive fire yet. So there are 2 ways to play your midway that time. 1, snipe CVs, or 2nd, snipe out one of their battleships by just trying to let them flood and give them all 3 fires with your dive bombers after the repair is down. That's literally how you do. But right now, I think after they added defensive fire on the carriers, I played less because really can't control the air, and I can just see my squadrons going down one by one in only a 2-fighter hack crew because I'm using a bomb below that midway, which I only have 1 fighter at all from all costs. But I would say it's still fun to play. If you want to watch people burn and take tons of damage from dive bombers, midway sure is your choice.
What are you guys' thoughts on the U.S. carriers for the 9 and 10s having that one spare fighter squadron in their strike loadouts? Because when you're going up the line, right, the tree, right, it's very clear there's this very stark difference between 2 loadouts. You either have a bunch of fighters and some dive bombers, or you have all strike until you get to tier 9, when the strike loadout gets 1 set of fighters. Would you, in terms of talking balance, would you rather see those fighters be bombers instead?
I haven't played any CVs lower than tier 10, so I don't really know much about this. So you can ask Zuikaku to do it.
S6, I didn't play really much because I'm thinking just get the midway. But anyway, S6, I think it is That one plane really helps because like you can certainly stop enemy fighters coming in, or you can just strafe enemy planes off, like attacking planes off if you want to. Like since additional air control, I'd really love to see it. I don't really want to remove it.
Well, you were mentioning earlier, Sean, that you still snipe CVs despite the AA cooldown change, and so let's talk about the CV sniping and whether or not you guys feel that it had a place in the game, or you're glad that they tried to do something about it, or did the implementation not really work how they wanted it to work out?
I think they work out pretty well. Like before when I play midway, the first like priority is snipe the enemy midway or some hardcore or something. But because when you eliminate the CV, you pretty much win the game. I mean, there's no air is gonna drop on your teammates and stuff like that. But right now, things they change this. It's a lot harder to kill those CVs, but it's still doable. I mean, the midway you can just go in one by one and watch them burn after you use up the repairs. It's still doable, but it's a lot harder. I mean, I think that makes the game more challenging and more fun. I think that works.
Thoughts, Zuikaku?
I would say one thing though. Yes, the change is good for higher end players, higher skill end based players. Like, oh, they can make a little mistake now. But like to lower end players who just like got the ship, it's a little bit bad to them because despite USN carriers are pretty much underpowered, a little bit, not really underpowered. But like if you can't control the air, so while you're playing a CV, sometimes you would ask that. So that's the reason why Midway is really underpowered right now. But beyond saying, having the defensive fire to prevent insta-death for a headshot, a CV headshot, is actually pretty good. Also, like, not one fail move will take you away. You actually have your chance to come back because like the defensive fire will sure like open up the spread. But I would say as the benefits of this defensive fire, it's still all these USN CVs because they had heavier A, of course. So I mean, the defensive fire thing is more likely to prevent USN carriers being sniped by IGN carriers more than IGN carriers sniping off USN carriers.
Yeah, that's true. I agree on that. For the defensive AAs, for the IGN carrier, they can't really snipe at all. I mean, the Torb and the bombers are all got affected. There's no way you can eliminate them.
Well, I mean, so I've seen you both in Tier 10 CV games, right? And so, right, you've ended the sniping of carriers, but that doesn't, a guy loads in, doesn't matter what ship he's in. If he even gets off by himself a little bit, one of you guys are going to delete him from the game, and defensive fire or not, right? So maybe, is it really an issue of sniping the CV? Because, I mean, you could lose a big capital ship, all things being equal, or even that one destroyer player who, frankly, I'm not sure could get away from you even if he wanted to, unless he was really lucky, right off from the beginning as well.
For me, I think the more effective way to play is to eliminate destroyer first, because when you try to CV snipe, sometimes a CV might ask for help, like they bring a bunch of cruisers around. I mean, there's no way you can snipe that, and you're just wasting your time, like wasting your plans to like get that CV.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty cautious now because like we've seen too much CV sniping for this past like 6 or 8 months already. People are getting cautious about CV sniping about themselves as they are in a CV. Usually going CV sniping is not a good idea because like they'll be surrounded by AA. You need to wait for them to get off their position and then find either someone to detect him and kill him, or just bait his defensive fire off and then just go in for him. Basically, you won't snipe a CV off by yourself at the start of the game right now.
I'm gonna chime in a little bit right here. I'm not gonna lie. When before carriers got to defensive AA, I was a pretty unabashed user of carrier sniping. Both of you will probably agree, or everyone here will probably agree, that sinking an enemy's carrier is probably one of the biggest plays you can make. Whether you're a carrier or if you're a destroyer, skirting around the edges of the map trying to kill the other guy's carrier. Like it's a huge deal, right? To be down a carrier. And frankly, for one, I thought it was a legitimate tactic. Like I thought, it was something that should have been kept in the game. I mean, God forbid wargaming keeps, a mechanic in the game where you have to play to sort of as like a team, right? Like for the most part in random battles, you can just do whatever the heck you want, right? Smoke for yourself, battleships, focus on whoever's giving you the best target, not who's giving your team the hardest time, so on and so forth. And I mean, I just thought it was just like a play style. So many CV players you see nowadays, like they just, as soon as the game starts, they launch their planes and they don't even move their boat. Like they don't do anything. Some of them even, back up and, like think of all the times you've seen a carrier basically just separated from his team for like 20 kilometers, like across the map. And like there's now literally just no way to punish these kinds of players. And I, for one, at least, in my midway, and even after torpedo change, like I found it, a lot of fun going after some of these, poorer players. But I just felt like Wargaming just gave them like a get out of jail free card, and for absolutely no substantiable reason at all whatsoever. Good CV players that I've faced off against, whether it's you, Sean, or Zuikaku, they have always been the kind of players who, hey, 3 minutes into the game, I haven't seen this other guy strike bombers. He's probably going for a snipe on me. And so they take action to protect themselves. Whether they ask for a cruiser for AA, or they sail with the fleet, or they bring their fighters back to their carrier. I mean, there are ways to defend yourself against snipe. And I just felt like this giving these carriers this defensive AA cooldown was just a total cop-out.
That's true for a point, but think about this. If the CV player doesn't even move the boat, they probably suck. And
Exactly. And in my mind, that person should be punished by me sinking him.
Yeah, but so the real issue with that, though, is that the impact a CV has on the battle, right? It's not, you're going to get a huge range of players in that class, but the fact that you lose a carrier and the battle becomes totally lopsided, especially if the other carrier is good, I think is the bigger balance issue, right? I mean, because after that, if you lose the carrier or he sucks, the other guy's got free reign, and it's only a matter of time till he just starts picking off ships one by one. And so that kind of takes us into the next talk about some of the AA changes. But I mean, do you guys think it should be as important as it is in this game?
I mean, I guess ultimately a question of how important does Wargaming think teamwork is to their game? Like if everyone can agree that carriers are important and that they are, a huge part of, scouting for the team and damage dealing, why wouldn't you take actions to try to, protect your carrier?
I would agree and disagree with it. Like, first, yes, teamwork is certainly the top thing in this game. You need to protect your carrier if your carrier needs to do something for your team. But what I disagree is carrier is not as important as now, because like, yes, you can strike someone off, you can do damage, but what is your ultimate tactic of using a carrier? Spotting things. You exist because you have planes going all over the map, seeing what you can see. You provide vision for everyone. That's literally all you need to do. So if you have vision for everyone, of course for yourself too, you have the responsibility to move your ship around to a better position, not sitting still.
Well, I guess
this is the first way.
Let me ask my question a different way, maybe in a example. So Zuikaku, say you're gearing, or I'm pretty sure you have a shimmy too. I think you did when I looked it up. And Sean's coming after you with planes, and it's just you. How much of a % chance do you think you have of getting away from his hack in your destroyer?
Seeing what place am I in, like if I have islands or no. If it's nothing and no one is close to me, like in 10 kilometers, I would be sure that even with a defensive fire, I'm gonna go down in like probably a minute or two. Like when my defensive fire is down, Sean was like, "Okay, it's fun time," and I'm like, "Oh shit." But saying that, there's another thing. Talking a little bit off topic here. If I'm in a kebab, I'm sure I can pull it off.
We'll have to give that a try later.
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
Because that sounded like a challenge to me.
Yeah, make sure you get that on video.
Probably, maybe, I don't know. Just saying the chances at least will be higher than the gearing, I would say.
Yeah,
this
definitely.
Sure.
Combat is a little faster than gearing, so you gotta aim your torp a little bit differently. So that's all.
I guess
Yeah,
my
and
point
it's a little
is,
bit harder because it's speed of this change of speed. Like, yeah, it's pretty hard.
we gotta
Yeah.
they address like CV sniping, but I mean, do you feel that you should be able to in one pass just delete a destroyer like that, no matter what?
Yeah, I think that's the point. I mean, you spend your whole squadron for the destroyers. You're supposed to kill him. I mean, if it's aligned, he's gonna use the torps. I mean, that's gonna do a lot of damage to the team. So if you eliminate a DD, that's a huge plus for the team at the beginning.
Oh,
That's why always do
I
that.
don't think anyone argues that it's a huge plus. I'm just saying, balance wise, do you think that's balanced?
Yeah, I think that's balanced. I mean, if you spend your whole squadron, can't even kill a DD. I mean, you only have certain amount of strike time, like for the whole game, probably like 6 or 7 times. I mean, you can't even kill a DD with one run. I mean, that's too less of a damage.
Do you hear that, Spectre? Next time you fail to kill a DD, you're gonna sell your ship.
Ah, shut the hell up, man. At least I try.
Oh no, it's
Well,
nothing but love.
I would be a little bit more forgiving. At least damage him for at least one torpedo bomber hit. I would say that at least one.
At
Because,
least
like,
one. At
yeah.
least one that you gotta keep like a bomber over and to like help your teammates finish off. That's usually my thing because I'm bad.
Well, just looking on the place. If you can put your bombers on top of him and your team can just kill at him, that's certainly a good trade. Because like, why not? You just disabled one ship off their team. That's what you need to do.
Pretty much.
Well, let's take a
No
second
argument there.
before we start talking about AA and some of the changes that have happened recently. Just real quick for me, we'll ask each of you what's your target priority list when you're in your carrier? What's your top target, your second target, your third target? Kind of your thought process for how you choose to spend your precious 6 or 7 strikes that you have.
I mean, for me,
Yeah, let's ask you first, Sean.
okay. For me, my priority target is a D that is sailing along, capping the A, B, or C, any part of the island, and it's along. So for sure, I'm gonna attack that first. The second is that if there's some battleship sailing along or some the Otago player, because they're kind of like buying the ship, so they kind of new. I know kind of I can disable them at the first strike, so I'll go for it too. And the rest of it is just or CV. I mean, if the CV doesn't pay attention, you just park there. I'll probably try that too, but usually it doesn't happen. So yeah, that's kind of my priorities. The last one I'll go is Des Moines. That's really annoying.
All right,
Point
fair
A
enough.
is death.
Yeah, Sean, you're a meanie. You're just punishing all these little boys that just got their Otago and they'll be crying on their chair.
Yeah, stay next to a real ship and protect yourself.
What's your target selection
uh,
look like, Zuikaku?
First, I would say off target, like single targets that goes alone with that defensive fire, because like no matter how much good A they get, if they're not USN things like Iowa, Montana, or Baltimore and Des Moines, you can certainly strike them off. Like disabling that ship off or driving off cap first is the first priority. Second, destroyers, because they are the most maneuverable ship in the game. They have the most vision, the most spotting, because they can go close and you can't detect them. So you need to like kill them off as fast as possible. Third, lone battleships, because like yeah, battleships going alone. Seriously? Hi, you're my damage counter. I'm gonna go for you. Even though I won't stake you, I'll just let you press your repair and let someone burn you. And then it will be CVs, because like usually CVs now will be pretty much protected, so I will not consider going them first, but if I have a chance, I would certainly go for it. Then lastly is those super A ships, e.g. Des Moines, Montana, or something else like that, because like getting in 7 kilometers of their A range, you'll just see your squadrons going like poof, and fireworks coming off the skies. That's pretty annoying.
How about you, Spectre?
More or less follows the same standard. I mean, I guess, like they mentioned, solo ships, huge targets. As long as they're not like an AA boat, like a Kutuzov or, high-tier U.S. cruiser or Hindenburg, If it's like a lone battleship, especially, I mean that's just basically a free kill at that point. After that, destroyers. I mean, let's face it, most pubby battleship players are scared, crapless over destroyers. And if you can take out the enemy team's destroyers, your battleship players will be far more bold about, what they do. They'll be more likely to push up. They'll be more likely to cap and actually make themselves useful.
Well, something that didn't make that list is let's talk about what you do with your fighters during this process.
Fighters? Well, I mean, as IGN, your fighters are usually either clearing the way for your strike planes or protecting your own fleet, right? At least that's what it is for me. I will assign my fighters to cover my own destroyers or my own battleships, depending on where they're at.
How about you, Zuikaku?
I would say pretty much the same, but it's the way to use it. Like, basically, you can either just escort your attacking planes or just defend from the enemy attacking planes. Of course, you can also intercept their fighters and be like, oh, hey, let's do a damage race. Of course, you can do that if you have the confidence to win the enemy sea in the damage race. But I would say one of the most important objectives, as I said, is to spot people off the map, because you have the whole map vision with your plane. It's just the amount of time that your plane needs to fly over to the destination. So I will keep my fighters more likely off half the map as long as there's no AA near it.
How about you, Sean? What's your fighter technique?
My fighter in the strike loadout, I usually just escort my torpedo and dive bomber to disable DD first. And then keep in mind, the fighter is really important to outlast the other CV's fighters. So if we're both like in Haku, you want to have more fighter than the other Haku. You want to kill more fighter than him, because at the last of the game, if you have fighter, the other one don't, you can really mess up the attack. That's a huge plus. So just try to make the fighters survive as long as possible and clear the way out of your dive bomber and torpedo bombers.
So would both of you say that you're racing the other carrier for damage as opposed to trying to deny his plane? So say one carrier sends his strike force to the west and you're sending yours east. Are you okay with just letting that go and you just let it ride?
Yes, that's the point. Otherwise, I would just use the fighter loadout. If I want to just completely annoying the other carrier, I just use my fighter loadout. And if he have the strike loadout, he's going to have a hard time. But if we both have strike loadout, that's the way to go. I mean, you got to deal more damage. Otherwise, you just...
Sorry, you broke up there, Sean.
Oh, I'm saying that if I'm on the strike loadout, I'll definitely just go for the damage race with another CV, because that's the whole point of having a strike loadout. But you have to make your fighter last, so you can try to intercept the fighters towards the end of the game. But if you just want to protect your team, you can just go with a fighter loadout. I mean, you can really hard time on the fighter loadout if that's the other enemy CV is in a strike loadout. So yeah, that's my point.
Yeah, basically that, because if you're not, like what Sean said, if you're running a damage count loadout, why are you not doing damage? Why are you trying to cover your team? Your bombers won't shoot down planes if they are not being attacked, so go get someone. Just go and raise damage off someone. And if you're using a fighter loadout, that's the reverse way. If you can't protect someone from the enemy strike, why are you using a fighter loadout? Just go for a bomber, try to raise for damage. That's literally how it is. To myself, I would say that fighter needs the lone fighter for midway. Like if you're running strike loadout, it's very critical because you only have one. You need to think about how to use your ammo, how to use your strafe when you need to dogfight something. That's really crucial because you only have one. You have no other choices like a Haku. They have another one where they can I'll just dogfight you with one and I'll strafe your bombers with the other one. That's very critical.
So you guys drop into a fight. The team, all things being equal, you're in a hack and the other guy's in a midway. And you know he's good. Maybe he's not as good as you are. Maybe he is. Are you pretty confident that you're going to win 9 times out of 10?
In the Haku? Yes. In the midway, 50-50.
Yeah, so if you're in a hack and he's in a midway, you're pretty sure you're going to win 9 times out of 10?
It's 10 times out of 10.
10 out of 10, all right.
Yeah, because it's just the CD problem. It's not about skills. It's the CD problem.
All
Not
right,
talking about skills.
So we put you in a midway and we put Sean in a hack. He's going to beat you 10 out of 10 times.
Yes, the same.
All right, how about you, Sean?
Well, I'll probably doubt about it. I mean, I actually been in a match that is only CV in the match. So like 2 CVs, you're just trying to kill each other. If in that way, I think midway is you might have a better chance. I mean, with the AA boost. But as for the team, like all that things going together, Haku's definitely has a upper edge because you can do a lot more stuff than midway.
All right. Do you guys still own? I know you said you didn't, Sean. So you don't have any low tier carriers right now.
Actually, I do for the IGN carriers. I have the Yunzhou. That's one of my other favorite carrier too, on the lower tier.
What is that? Is that the 4?
The tier 6 Ryuji.
The tier 6.
Oh, the Ryuji.
sorry.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Because for the tier 6, usually they don't have that captain skill, like for the extra fighter and like the air.
Oh, so you take it seal clubbing then?
I play that I probably have a higher win rate in like Yunzhou than Haku. I don't know.
Why? Because you got a 15-point captain and you're beating up on people new to carriers?
Yeah, definitely. And people like who new to the game, they doesn't know how to play. They're just sailing around, and it's not like you play high tier like tier 10. People has a rough idea like what you're supposed to be doing, but in tier like 6, people are just playing around. You know, it's easier for me.
Relaxments, I see.
Yeah. That's stress relief, massage, therapy, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
Right?
just get my clear sky like flags or something. You know.
When you want to go farm clear sky flags, all right.
Yeah.
That's a technique. How about you, Zuikaku? You still keep a lot of low tier carriers around?
I still have a tier 5 Zuiho, Saipan, Hiryu, Lexington, Taiho, Shokaku. Basically have almost all of them except tier 6s.
Goodness.
What are you holding on to right now, Spectre?
I have got my Lexington Essex Midway, and I've also got my Shokaku Taiho and Hakuryu, plus a Saipan. I don't have any low tier carriers really, so to speak of. I can't stand the slowness of the planes.
Yeah, that probably helps. I wouldn't know. I'm only at tier 8 on both sides, and I'm pretty lazy about it. So maybe sometime next year I'll get there. But
I just remember like a while ago they had that event before the Saipan came out, where it's like they wanted to get people to get the highest base experience in a Langley or like any other tier 4 carrier, and I remember trying that in the Langley, and I just wanted to cut myself after how slow those planes were. It's just you spend most of the game staring at your planes, waiting for them to fly back.
Yeah, it's kind of a waste of time when you play like too lower tier of the carrier.
Yeah.
Well, I know we said we talk about AA, and there were 2 kind of big iterations of AA boosts over the last couple months. And so, not being a CV player, I appreciate it, especially after some trauma from both Sean and Zuikaku here in some matches. So I appreciate it a little bit. Spectre, however, is very passionate against how that is just a giant nerf to carriers and it's killing carriers. And
I wouldn't say that.
And after both patches, I still see just as many, if not more, carriers. And so if you guys could talk us through how you perceived each one of those AA patches as really affecting your gameplay and your damage count. And let's start with you, Zuikaku.
I'll let the tier 10 part for Sean because I think he'll be much more experienced than me in tier 10s. I'll just talk about around 7 to 9. In these tiers, it's not really heavily affected at all because, like, if you see a Kutuzov, a North Carolina, or a Baltimore, it's literally a no-fly zone. Like, if you get in, your planes are going to get shreked. This is one of the things, if you are experienced carrier driver, you don't think it is actually something that's really bad because, like, the difference from last patch, the A buff on North Cal and other ships is actually not that significant because originally they're good enough already, so it's not really that significant of a change. So it's like, meh, I'm just doing the same thing. it's still a no-fly zone until he's going by himself. But as I say, the most effective tier would be tier 9 because as Iowa and Baltimore A is buffed and they are like pretty well, especially Baltimore, it's pretty bad before the buff. Taiho should and Essex should be having a little bit harder on times if they're trying to strike someone off and they see a Balti or somewhat a good AA cruiser nearby. Like the planes won't get struck, they won't get an effective strike anyways. That's how I see the change. Although I would say it's not really that much of a change because like first thing priority, carry priority is still destroyers first. So like yeah, they don't have defensive fire. It's not defensive fire destroyer. Just go for it. Just don't get near cruisers. That's the point. So for me, I don't think it's really affecting that much, but it's like, yeah, you still lose a little bit more planes than before to do a strike.
All right, Sean, how about you at tier 10? How did you think, what did you think about the AA changes they made, and did it really affect you as a carrier player?
It's more or less the same as Kako said, because my play style, I go for DD first, so it's not really affecting me at all. I mean, I don't go for cruisers like Baltimore, Des Moines. I just stay away from them. I mean, it's just your plane's gonna get wrecked when you go in there. That was the way it is, and since the previous patch, I mean, if they get better, probably marginally. I don't think they made a significant boost. But for me, like for DDs and other for battleships, it's pretty much the same. I mean, I didn't notice any significant difference when I try to like go for them.
That's it, Spectre. The authorities have spoken. We need more AA.
All right, so I'm I'm gonna chime in here and just say that the AA changes, for the most part, I feel like for other non-carrier ships have been incredibly positive. I mean, obviously, that goes without saying. My only gripe, like looking back, the biggest gripe that I still have is just that they're just handing out AA like candy to everybody. Everybody. Like this in the 5.6, Nagato and Amagi both got slight bumps to AA. Hipper got a new hull that gave it more AA, and like some other ships got some AA upgrades. And to me, at least, that just sort of steps on the bounds of what was supposed to be the U.S. ship's national flavor, which is really good AA. But if everyone has good AA, then having having that as an advantage is sort of meaningless. And I just don't know if anyone else feels that way. And just secondly, for some ships, their AA, especially for U.S. battleships now, for like the North Carolina and Iowa and Montana, like even if they're alone, you're still going to pay a huge price trying to strike them because as long as they focus fire, and especially if they have the manual AA captain skill, like they will shred planes like there's no tomorrow. And it is just virtually untouchable, even if it's by themselves. And if they have any other sort of ship near them, you can just like forget about it.
That's not untouchable because Sean punished me in 2 waves in my Montana. I mean, it wasn't
that's
untouchable.
You're bad.
Yeah, you're right. I couldn't turn it faster and I couldn't shoot him down faster. But
no, actually, I have a special technique for BBs and to kill CVs with a torp bomber because you just drop at the really long range. Say my torp has a 10 range, I drop for before the 8th range. So you use really long range to let the torp go around, and you actually converge. So it actually makes the torp more accurate. And the BB has to do something about it. You either turn into it or turn out to it. But either way, you can't shoot at the point. So it's for team. Sometimes you just show your broadside to your teammate, and you might get seated down. For the CV, it's the same. When you boost your AA, and at a certain range, it's not affected. Like when you dive, your torp bomber, you drop really far, it's not affected by the AA boost. So the torp actually goes straight to the CV. So CV has to make a move. When I see the CV make a move, I drop my second torp group towards the second line. So either way, you're gonna eat more than you just going really close to hit it, because that way you lose more planes and you're not making that much damage. So it's better to drop really, really far for a hardcore player. That's my advice.
oh man, that's good to know. I'm gonna pay attention to that more. I didn't think a lot of players dropped out that far at that range, and I certainly wasn't, looking at the kilometers there. How about you, Zuikaku? You dropped from that range at the high tier?
For Hakuryu, I don't drop that far away, but I will sure like drop a little bit more earlier because like I don't want to get infected really much. I don't want my planes getting shot down like hell before I go too close. So I probably drop around like 2 kilometers out, maybe. I mean, if I have the chance and I see that my planes aren't really dropping yet, I'll probably just go for a close strike to like gain more accuracy. But that's on the Haku. In the midway, I'll say, "Oh, hi, it's a lone battleship. All my dive bombers, go for it. Just bomb him. You'll just take tons of damage out of it because I won't lose all of them. It's 21 dive bombers. Again, you can shoot it down in like 30 seconds. I'll be like, that's Des Moines Class A with the defensive fire on. It's not really possible on a Monty."
Well, Sean, so in that situation you described, what's the worst thing they can do to you? Is turn in towards you or turn away from you?
Turning towards me is worse because when you turn in, you actually eat less torps. When you turn out, I mean, the torp's gonna chase you. The torp is going towards you, right? If you turn into the torp, you probably eat one, but if you turn out, you probably eat 2 or 3. So when you see the torp coming, you always turning towards the torp. I mean, for those like less experienced like player, they probably miss the whole thing. If they drop too close, they not even get to the effect range yet. So none of the torp are affected.
Yeah, but if you're dropping at 8K, there's no way it's gonna, not be armed by the time it gets there.
Yeah, but still
turn in.
Still try to turn in because that's that way you have better chance to avoid that torp. If you turn out, I can drop my second squadron. I mean, when you turn in, my other plane has to fly into the lower part of your ship. I mean, that's gonna take longer, and that's your A probably gonna wreck some of my planes. So. It's always better to turn in.
So, I mean, there's kind of two styles, right? And I think you're more of a fan of the cross torp. And how about you, Zuikaku? You a cross torp or you a full spread from one side?
To big ships, I like doing a full spread to one side. Like, I'm lazy, I should say. I'm just lazy.
All right. So that's a function of being lazy, all right.
Yep, I just like being lazy. But like, if I need to cross torp, I'll sure do it. Like, I'm not really a big fan to cross torp because, like, yeah, if you put your planes over on top of a good A, you need to roll over to the other side and change your torpedo bomber direction around again. This is gonna risk a little bit, so I'm not a little bit of favor on that. But like, if I need to do it, I will do it. Like, but I'm in more favor in the lazy way.
How about you, Sean? Maybe I unfairly said, you're a cross torper, but maybe not.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of cross torper, but I just noticed that when you cross torp, you don't have to go from the other side. You can just from the same side, like 45 degrees. That's a cross torp too. I mean, you just
that's why I said I'm like lazy. I'm just lazy.
Oh, okay.
Don't criticize me.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot more effective against a DD play if you cross torp. Like if you have 3 groups of torps, you just place in a different position. You just use one towards where he's going. He probably turn into it. If he didn't turn into it, just cross torp the hell out of it. I mean, he's gonna get wrecked for sure. If you do it the right way.
You cross torp just for the first torpedo bomber to like, oh, that's a torpedo. I need to dodge it. If he doesn't dodge it, he's gonna eat it. So you must need to dodge it, and then you just get your second torp bomber squad, torp him while he's like moving into it. So,
yeah,
like,
you kind of the way you torp DD is that you kind of have to make him the certain way he wants to go. So if you're sailing straight, right? So at first group, I just parallel to sailing straight. So if you see torp, you're probably just trying to move to one side. If you try to move, you're gonna eat torps. But if you're sailing straight, I'm gonna use another squadron to the left or to the right to drop it. So once you see that, you probably panic and move again, and you're gonna eat a lot more torps. But there's a smart guy, they can brake, they slow down. If that's the case, I just use my third group. But that way, you probably can't kill that DDs if that happens. So for DD player, brake is really really effective when I trying to like cross torp you.
Also, interesting technique going in the kit bag for sure.
Yep, definitely.
Well, don't forget
I remember I threw off, I think it was Kagami Kami on his Hakuryu with the braking technique, and he came back after me with the second wave, and he finally nailed me. He anticipated the break and he nailed me. It was tragic.
Yeah, if
So
you
as CV
live,
players, that's normal though. Like we need to do this, or else we can't do this. Can't kill destroyers in like the whole. Like
Oh,
if
yeah.
I'm doing a lazy way, I can't really do it. So in a CV player, that's a must thing to learn.
yeah,
Yeah,
your honor's
definitely.
at stake, right? So if I'm in a destroyer and you miss me the first time or I get away, first thing I'm doing is running back to the fleet because I know you're gonna come back to finish me.
Yeah, that's true. Because whenever I know the position of that DD, I probably just go around and look for it at the same position.
So learn to use your breaks and run away very quickly because you're gonna come back to punish him. Check.
So, do you guys have any sort of techniques for nailing destroyers in American CVs with the dive bombers?
There's one
Uh,
technique. There's one technique called pray to God.
Yeah,
That's
RNG, right?
basically that because can't cross torp. So basically, what you need to do is try to control his maneuver with your dive bombers, but probably he won't because he'll be like also praying to RNG. But mostly you can. It's like if you can dive bomber drop, try dive bomber dropping not straight to his ship. Like don't parallel drop him with your dive bomber. Try dropping a little bit in angle, like probably 10 or 20 degrees would be enough because like oh they see a dive bomber dropping, they would be turning. So like try to compute where they're turning, drop a little bit in angle, then probably they'll hit in a more accurate way.
and I have an extra tip for the American uh, CVs to kill destroyer. I'm not a big fan of dive bomber, so I just talk about the torp. So when you torp a DD, when you torpedo plane going to the DD is gonna turn. It's gonna turn to one side. So just drop really close to that DD, like parallel to them, and you don't have to like the first couple of torps is gonna be like really short range. They can't even affect it, but the rest of the torps is gonna hit. I mean, if you take 2 or 3, it's probably gonna die. Because
Yeah.
the beauty of USN torp is that they go like really straight, really narrow, so something's gonna hit it.
So
Yeah,
if you
the
guys are
American
playing,
torpedoes are a bit. Yeah, the American torpedoes are a bit crazy if they hit. So just try to find a way to make them hit. That's basically what you need to do in an American carrier.
either
Well,
of you try and manual drop dive bombers on destroyers?
Yeah, I always manual drop. I never do the random drop. Like RNG is just not working for me.
Random drop is just for when you can't control the plane, like you're like doing a fighter fight, trying to avoid strafes with another fighter like on the other side of the map. You just do the random drop, just trying to like hope that you damage the destroyer a little bit before he gets back to the fleet. That's that's the only time when I try to use auto drop. That's because I'm distracted from something else. I can't do accurate drops. I'll just try and do some damage on him before he's back to the fleet.
Well, you got any tips for anybody who's trying to manual drop with Japanese bombers?
practice.
Besides that, oh yeah, you'll figure it out. Just keep doing it.
It's kind of more practice, but like don't drop parallel is my first thing if you're not in Japanese CD because these bombers on the US carriers is wide, so you don't really need that accurate drop on a destroyer. Just try to drop in a little bit angled way because those bombers will not always drop at as narrow as the IGN bombers do. So even if it's a little bit off accurate, just try to keep the whole enemy ship in a circle as possible. That's how the way it goes.
So in a US carrier, do you guys still think going for the destroyers first is your best possible course, or do you try and pick something else with those, say, battleships or something that's strayed?
As a midway, I still go for destroyers first. I love seeing them getting hit by those 1,000-pound bombers and be like, oh, what is this? I lost 10k health out of one. It's pretty fun watching that, but also saying that, don't underestimate those 1,000-pound bombers. Even if they get a hit on a destroyer, they at least do like 5,000 damage, which is like already 20% of a destroyer's HP already. Don't underestimate it. If you can't see it, he's off AA, there's no other good targets, just go for him. Don't need to hesitate.
That's right. Because remember, whenever you play a CV, you only have a certain amount of run to attack. So you gotta maximize your attack. You have to attack the target that is close to you as possible. That's usually the DDs. So you just go for them. Even though it's not success, you plan combat really quick and you can start another run like right away. So it's really effective for a CV player like that way.
And also exposing your planes too long out in the seas will like attract the fighters coming. So drop as quick as you can before they notice you.
Yeah, definitely.
You taking notes, Spectre?
Yeah.
Because it's going to come back. It's going to come back. And I
I'm
know you
sure
don't
it will.
have some of the lower tier stuff. Maybe you played some of them in the team battles with Ryujo, but you've been playing ranked lately, and I just some quick thoughts from you, Zuikaku, on the Saipan Hiryu dynamic.
You mean on ranked? Is that?
Yeah, and ranked battles.
And ranked battles.
To myself, I haven't really used much of it because rank battles is more of a destroyer meta. Like, there's too many destroyers for your CV to strike. As like Spectre said earlier, lower tier planes are a bit slower, even though they reload fast in the Hiryu. You can't really do like quick strikes to the enemy. Like, you can disable one of their DD and the other 3 DDs on the enemy team, which is like, oh, triple cap, wrecks your team, and then you'll be like, oh shit, my planes are still reloading and trying to get out. But as I say, CV in ranked is actually still a good spotter. Like, if your team is competent and they can shoot destroyers or focus fire on someone, those visions sure help. And also, if you can cross drop on some destroyers in your Hiryu, that's also pretty good. And if I'm in a Saipan, I won't really run the twin bomber loadout, like twin torpedo bomber loadout, because I'd rather have one more fighter and let my dive bombers do the stuff. Those dive bombers are dead accurate as well, so like you don't need to really care about it.
Well, I wouldn't call them
also drop in
accurate. There's
done.
9 of them, right? So I mean, you're going to hit more often than not.
Well, their targeting circle, even when you automatically click, is the same size as a manual drop.
And
you
it
get
is smaller
manual
than
drop
normal
accuracy. Yeah, for automatic clicking.
Yeah, and Spectre, that circle is smaller than any other dive bombers in the US Online. That's why the Saipan is as a premium. It's a little bit smaller, not really big, like not significantly smaller, but it's sure a little bit smaller. So if you're striking those tier 7 DDs, you can still accurately hit them. It's a nightmare to them.
And the planes are tier 9, so they are a lot faster than the Hiryu.
Yes, although I would say being strafed or dogfight still doesn't help because even with air supremacy, it's only 4, so you get wrecked pretty fast if your control is not into place. But like, as I said, your dive bombers are just nightmare to destroyers if you see a ton of destroyers in the queue.
Well, the other thing is at tier 7, CV sniping is back in full force. At least the matches I've seen, the carrier usually chooses to try and snipe the enemy carrier first because he doesn't have defensive fire and he thinks he can pull it off pretty quick. And you don't see a lot of cruisers in the queue.
Yeah, that's that. There is a way to deal with it, but I'm not gonna say it too much because it's like too complicated to do it, and you need really much practice. You need to use your 1 fighter squadron to hold against 2. That's basically what you need to, like how you do in a midway versus a hack Ryu. But the change is like you're in a Hiryu versus probably any Hiryu or a Saipan.
So, in your
But to be honest-
guys' experience, which is the better carrier among the tier 7 selections? I think it's pretty clear that both Hiryu and Saipan are probably the front runners. Ranger's probably a distant second. So between Saipan and Hiryu, which one do you guys prefer to use, and like why?
Sean, do you have any ideas about that?
I don't have a Saipan, so I don't really know.
Because to myself, I would say, as an experienced carrier player, and probably not experienced as well, probably if Carrier Midway is here listening to the podcast, it would be like punching on me. But I would say, if I put it on top, it's Hiryu, Ranger, then Saipan. Saipan is actually at the bottom.
Saipan's actually at the bottom. Okay.
Because even Ranger planes are slow. If you run the fighter loadout, it has 7 planes. Saipan can't really strafe them all off if you didn't do any mistake. Even though he strafed like 3 planes off you, your planes will still like win against a strafe battle off. And even though you don't have the good torpedo bombers versus his like good dive bomber or torpedo bomber, you have your like good dive bombers to like just probably knock someone out or set someone on fire and burn his repair. That's good enough already. And why I put Saipan at the bottom is because You either can like half control the air with 2-2, because or you just fully control the air and use the dive bomber. In randoms, I would totally not pick it because like 4 squadrons, just why not use the ranger or the Hiryu? In ranked, I would say just go for the Hiryu. You have more squadrons to do more things, just like how Midway versus Hakuryu, more squadrons to the win.
And do you run the Hiryu in strike loadout into 2-2-2 or 3-1-2?
I would run the strike, although I call it balanced because like it's not fully strike, it's 2-2-2, so I call it balanced more than strike. I would run the 2-2-2 just because like you can cross-tarp someone, cross-tarp DDs in case your team is like incompetent and you can win your air battle easy. That's usually why. But of course, if you know that you have decent players on your ranked group, like probably there's not many people still in rank 5 now, but I tried using the 3-1-2 Hiryu once, although it didn't end really well because I don't have enough bomber planes to finish off people. But it's actually also a bit successful because like you controlled the air. I prevented enemy CV like coming in to strike or to spot our destroyers. They had a good time until like they lose in a gunfight because they were spotted by opening a fire.
Well, let's step back up to the tier 10 scenario for a second. A different aspect I'd like to ask you both about, which is those matches and how it changes when you find yourself, you're in your tier 10 and you get paired on your own team with, say, a tier 9 or a tier 8. And does that really matter to you, or does it matter which one at that point because it's a tier lower than you already?
For me, I think I really don't like 2 CVs in each team. Because no matter it's tier 9 or tier 10, it's gonna affect how you play. Because there's way more planes you have to deal with. I mean, if they both from fighter squadron, then you're screwed. You can't do anything. But so I really just prefer like just 1 CV in each team.
So what's your technique though when you come up on two each side?
Well, you have to if they're all fighters, you have to find a gap. You have to send your plans everywhere. So just 2 here, 2 there. So you can see where's no fighter, you just go for it. And if there's a fighter, just retreat. I mean, you gotta play hide and catch, that kind of game. It's not fun, but it's you have to do that in order to win.
How about you, Zuikaku?
2-2 CVs. If I'm top tier, like tier 10, I would be like, okay, probably I can carry this off some ways if the enemies the enemy CVs aren't decent. But that's like Sean said, there's way too many planes you need to deal with. There's less mistake you can afford. All you can do is try to find the little gap that planes just like missed it, go through it, try getting damage on someone while your fighters are trying to get enemy planes off as much as possible. If I'm a bottom tier, I sure not really want to see a 2v2 CV because like, I'm bottom tier, what can I do if I have no fighters? Also saying that, if even you're a top tier CV, probably I'm in an Essex and I see a Ranger or a Lexington in my team with full strike loadout, I would be like, ew, what can he do? Too many planes for him to, like, he can't go through anything if enemies are holding 2 Japanese CVs like Taiho and Shokaku. He will need to deal with 4 fighters with all of his 4 bombers while I'm like having only 1 fighter squadron helping him. I'll be crying like, dude, I can't hold the air by myself. That's the one bad thing if you're doing 2v2 is when your partner is not having air control. That's the only thing I don't want to see.
In general, like before tier 8, it's pretty rough on strike American carriers because you don't have any fighters to deal with Japanese fighters. Starting at tier 7, Japanese carriers get that 2-2-2 loadout, and those 2 fighters, if you're up against like a strike ranger or something, they're uncontested. Every strike you do, at least 2 of your squadrons are going to be under attack by fighters, scattering them, and it's just incredibly frustrating.
Well, I was gonna ask, does Matchmaker need to limit, equal tiered carriers to a side? I was gonna say, only 1 to a side, but maybe if you're gonna do 2, it's got to be equal tiers. But I mean, is that something that should be implemented?
If they're gonna imply it, I would do like Sean said, just go 1v1 carrier. Don't ever go 2v2. Because like, I'm not saying it's nonsense to start with, but it requires too many things to deal with, which I don't think a majority of players can deal with it now. Like, not saying us are the above average players, we can deal with it, of course, but like, to new players that's starting to play it, probably they hit tier 6, 7, they're starting to see those 2v2c matches. They can't really do it, and they're just pulling their team's weight off, while probably the higher tier C be like, oh shit, I can't pull this off. So this meta is not actually really good. If they would have a change on matchmaking, I would say like, nah, just put it off. Just do 1v1 CVs, please. Not worth the change.
Yeah, we'll give you 1v1 CVs when we stop seeing 6 destroyers.
That's a happy time.
Well, for you.
That's happy time, of course.
For you.
Well,
but for us to get stuck on the other team,
I just
right?
said it last night because I don't see destroyers in any team. I literally just said, oh shit, no first blood servers.
All right.
Because we, as CV players, usually hunt destroyers first. So like, oh, no destroyers, no first blood servers. Sorry, team. I'll just hold back.
Yeah, okay. So if you're on the other team, but if you're playing against you and you've got a carrier that you don't recognize and is new to the tier, it's going to be a really long game. You might as well go park on the blue line and go load in another ship, right?
You never park in the blue line. I mean,
I'm just kidding.
You have to stay close to the group as possible so you can like shorten your attacking distance. I mean, so you can get more damage out of it.
No, I was just kidding.
I mean, the advice that sometimes I give to like the lower tier carrier that I sometimes get paired up with is just, you know what, just use your planes to spot. I mean, it doesn't give you points, it's not very rewarding, but if the alternative is for you to just suicide your planes, like I'd much rather have you just post your bombers up around like contested caps, spot destroyers and such. And I mean, the other thing I guess I could say is, you know, if you're the low tier carrier, like follow the higher tier carrier's planes around. You know, just follow it in on strikes, whatever, and you know, try to time it so that you come in at the same time as he does. That way, you know, when they're focusing all their fire on his planes, you can get in there and try to get some damage in there. But I mean, it's certainly not a pretty situation to be in.
So,
although, let me say one situation I had in the lower tier carrier. I was in my Shokaku in a tier 10 game. I shot down 96 planes against a Hakuryu and a Shokaku, and my midway just shot down 1. So I would say, as a lower tier carrier, you don't really need to like focus only on one thing. Like, you can do what you can. Like, if you know that, try to pick up enemies' mistakes. So like where the planes are starting to group up, just strafe on it. Like, your planes are gonna die anyway if the fighters are coming in here, because like you're the lower tier carrier, their planes will sure get you. So try to do as much as you can before they get you.
So here's
That's
the
the one
thought.
thing. Then second, yeah, continue.
Sorry, go ahead.
So all you need to do is, rather than spotting, try to catch enemy planes. Like, if you see enemy fires and you can like, oh, probably it's Hakuryu fires. I'm just a Shokaku. Let me just drive off a little bit, bait their planes in. Oh, he's trying to strike someone. I'll strafe on top of the person that he's gonna strike. So when he's striking, before his torpedo bombers or his dive bombers land, all his planes will be like half gone or all gone. That's one of the techniques of strafing as well.
So I mean that of course applies to like Japanese carriers best, because you know no matter what loadout you pick, you're going to be sporting 2 fighters. But here's like a random thought and like a suggestion that I've seen crop up multiple times on the forums of other places. What if they allowed carriers to change their loadout in the loading screen? So suppose you're in a ranger, you load in, and you're in a tier 9 match, and you're strike. You know, should Wargaming allow players, these carrier players, to change their loadout as they load into the game, so they can, you know, make these last minute changes? Because if you're tier 7 and tier 9 match as a carrier, especially as a US carrier, you're probably more useful AA loadout than you are strike loadout, right? Any thoughts?
I think that's a good idea. I mean, I would love to do that. I mean, if I see some, like, there are only certain CV players in the game. So if you see someone, oh, you know that guy has a fighter loadout, so you can just switch to fighter loadout. I mean, that's even better.
How about you, Zuikaku?
I would like to see it also, but I would also have another question to fix it because, like, if you see it now, according to the loading screen, you can compare with your ship with others, right? And I believe me and Sean, if we see how many points, like aircraft points at the enemy CV get, we can determine what loadout he has. So if we see it's a bomber loadout, we'll just take fighter loadout, of course, if we are originating bomber. So that's probably gonna take someone in disadvantage if they don't know how to use it.
I don't know. So hand in hand, maybe.
Yeah, so if I'm in a CV, I would like that information to be hidden. Like, ship stats, just get hidden, please.
Or just hide the ships on each team until they're spotted in game. You could always do it that way too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you do that, then the low-tier carrier will never be able to know if they're a low-tier carrier, right?
Well, I mean, you can just, like, let the enemy team know what kind of carrier they are. Like, just show the name, but not letting them know the actual statistics, because that would determine off.
You'd know you were the low tier because you had a tier above you on your team.
But are you sure that's like a tier 8 or 9 carrier and not just another ranger or a Hiryu?
No, on your team. You would see your ships. I'm talking about the enemy ships, right? So you don't see their loadout and stuff, but you would know if you were low tier by who was on your team.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's also ensuring that if you're in a 1v1 battle, you don't change your loadout according to the enemy loadout. Like, you change it every single time while the enemy changes it. So it's kind of unfair to the enemy team.
Well, I mean, okay, maybe I'm not quite clear here, but if you're changing your loadout from strike to AA, are you doing it each time you just see that there's another carrier there or are you just trying to match AA loadouts?
Probably I'll do it when I'm trying to match it out enemy loadout. Probably I'll see, oh, it's a midway bomber. I'll just go hack group fighter, I guess, to control him and let him do nothing. Probably I can be some kind of like that. Of course, I can also choose that I'll just go bomber and do race with him. But if I can see enemy carrier's loadout, like I can guess it. If we see it, we can change our loadouts on the loading screen. That's actually a little bit disadvantage if we can see the enemy carrier and we can see statistics on his ship. It's like, yeah, it's a little bit disadvantage. Probably I want that fixed if we are implying the loading screen thing in. If
you guys could change one thing on a midway to make it competitive with the hack again, what would be the one thing you would fix?
Well, that's easy. Just give me one more group of torpedo.
Isn't that what they had before that said it was broken?
Oh my god.
Well, just make it one less plan, maybe. Like 5 instead of 6.
In my opinion, they can try putting 2 fighters on the loadout 2, which is the bomber loadout, and then they can try putting in 1 torpedo bomber in the fighter loadout to balance it out. Like, giving him one more squadron probably would work.
So midway strike as 2, 1, 3? 6 squadrons total?
Yes. Giving him 1 squadron might be a little bit better, or else just probably add the health of the planes, like giving him more health, so that they won't be shot down easily.
I mean, the dive bombers probably would certainly need like such a buff, right? Because they have to go through all layers of AA. They can't just drop far away.
I won't really say that. As I said before, 21 dive bombers. What are you gonna do with it if they like just come in your AA range as in your Montana? Probably be like shooting 5 of them down before they strike, but they are still like 16 of them, and they all are 1,000-pound bombers. They might drop like 30k on you though.
So if you throw all 21 bombers at a single target, well, okay. So first of all, if it's a solo ship, yes, there's very little that they can do. But but there are times when you have to strike against a target that's surrounded by other ships, and having those dive bombers have to go through all those layers of AA for the target ship, as well as the AA of any ships around it. I mean, I don't know. I've seen some pretty crazy shit happen to my dive bombers on their way in, sometimes into some really bad situations.
To this, I would say it's a targeting choice because as midway, you don't really want to go through everything. Like,
well, no carrier wants to go through a lot of AA, right?
Called out, Spectre.
If you can't choose, then probably just hold it back, like hold your planes back. If there's really not any good targets, just wait for one good target because like you can't, like yeah, you need to strike things quick, but actually, there's another thing too. Like, you need to strike effectively. If you think that strike is not effective enough, just don't go for it. If you're gonna lose all the planes going when they're coming back, just don't do it, because it's like not worth it. Even though you do like 10k damage, that's not really worth it by losing 21 planes.
I mean, it's just with U.S. carriers, especially now that we only have one torpedo bomber. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I know for a fact whenever I'm in like a cruiser or a battleship or whatever, if I see an American strike group coming towards me, I just target the torpedo bombers. Just still, even after the buff, I always focus fire at that one torpedo bomber squadron, which means that squadron is going down no matter what, and that just leaves the dive bombers, which. If I'm playing right and I'm in a cluster of ships, whatever, like we can do a lot of damage to the dive bombers. And you gotta remember, 21 dive bombers is a lot, but what percentage of those dive bombers are actually gonna land bombs on you? Especially if you're say panicking them, like under defensive fire AA, or if you're just throwing up so much AA that the carrier pilot doesn't have time to maneuver his bombers for a parallel strike. That number is just depressingly little.
Yeah, I would say that's the problem with Midway now, because it's way too RNG based. That can't be fixed unless they be like letting those dive bombers see like pinpoint accurate with defensive fire and without defensive fire as well. And that shouldn't be possible, because like if it made it that accurate and that painful, not everyone would like him. It's just like having the 2 torpedo bombers on the Midway.
I mean, wouldn't it offset the sort of RNG factor that's involved in using dive bombers?
Pretty much, but like I said, probably striking bigger targets will let you have a bigger chance of hitting. But like if you need to panic drop, I suppose it's the last choice you can do. Like, oh, my planes are gonna die anyway. I'll just probably go panic drop.
Well, just to circle back on something else I just was thinking about a little bit is we're in Supremacy League. How do you guys... Does it matter if a destroyer against a good CV player takes defensive fire?
I think it doesn't matter. It only lasts like 10-15 seconds. I mean, you're going for it anyway.
So you wait it out, or...
Yeah, pretty much just wait it out.
If it's in Supremacy League, it's actually pretty crucial, because you see all Bensons have defensive fires, while your CB can't really strike it, they can at least spot it. But at that point, when they are starting to shoot down your planes with defensive fire when you're trying to spot them, that's when it starts to go on. Like, if you lose one fire or one bomber on your squadron, the enemy CB in Supremacy League is probably like most likely a good CB. They will try to use this advantage. Like, you lost one bomber, you can't do accurate strikes anymore. Or you lost one fire, you don't have a large air hold, like a large air supremacy against me anymore. I'll just do my thing, strafe your planes off or get your planes away, hold the point, spot for people.
Well, at tier 10, I mean, defensive fire at that point is mostly, it gives you a little bit of breathing room to try and get away or get closer or something like that. But have you ever come across a time when you've actually lost any significant amount of planes to it, or that the destroyer actually got away from you?
Not really, though. As a destroyer, the only thing that has a headache of defensive fire is only Des Moines anyways. Or probably enemy Midway when I'm trying to strike it, but those are rarely going to happen, and if we are focusing on the destroyers, probably I'll just wait it out, like Sean said, like, just wait it out. It's not really long. It's 40 seconds, 30 or 40. All
right. How about you, Spectre? You got any last questions here? I think we're kind of winding down a little bit.
Yeah, I'm tapped out.
All right, fair enough. How about you guys? You got any parting words you'd like to kind of share with anybody, either lessons learned or things not to do when they come up against you in CVs?
For me, it's that like those CV players, they just ask me, is it worth it to grind to the highest tier, like in tier 10? Like they probably suffer from a lower tier. Also, it's definitely worth it, and you're gonna enjoy it.
How about you, Zuikaku?
Advices to new players. If you're trying to play a CV, just remember where your planes are. Like, don't get lost. don't get lost. If you lost where your planes are, that you're already lost. Like your game's already lost because you can't control them. So always keep an eye on your planes. Look on the no-fly zones if they're having good AA ships. That's all I can say.
So I know you play a bunch of other ships, Zuikaku, but how about you, Sean? You have any other favorite class of ships that you like playing?
Not really. I play BBs, but I'm not good at it, and it's kind of too slow paced for me. I kind of like watch YouTube and play that at the same time, so I just prefer play CVs.
All right.
And you're usually the last one to die, so that's a good plus.
Yeah, StarCraft player. That's more friendly in the CV. Yes.
How about you, Zuikaku? I think you prefer destroyers, even though you play everything pretty much.
Well, sadly saying, I play the ship type, the specific class, according to my mood.
What?
Oh, you got to
So
break that down for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would say if it's counting tier 10s, actually, other than the Yamato or the Kebab, which both of them are pretty overpowered, I would say cruisers are the best choice because they have the DPS, they had the burn, and then they had either utilities or the power to just get someone off the game slowly but certainly.
And what about the mid tier? Say 6 to 8, somewhere in there.
6 to 8, though, I would say battleships are actually pretty crucial, but everything in 6 to 8 works like the same thing. Like all of them have their roles: destroyers to detect and to assassinate someone, cruisers to give utility support and kill enemy cruisers or just give AA and hydro off, battleships to delete everything off, and of course CVs to do the stuff that we today discussed.
Well, yeah. So 6 and 8 are there. I mean, 7s are extremely awkward at any tier, but that's just my opinion.
Mainly battleships, I would say, because you hit hard on everything with your AP. Just try to delete stuffs in that tier. That would be the best thing to carry with.
All right. Well, Spectre, if you've got nothing, and you guys are pretty satisfied here, I think I'll leave you with, we had a Q&A, and we're going to talk about in a future episode, probably the next one, that we sent Q, but just one stat to leave you on as we talk tier 10 carriers. Let me find it here. Is the average number of active players at tier 10 is about 2% of the population. Just food for thought.
Total population or like active population?
Active population in North America, 2% play tier 10s.
That seems depressingly limited.
Yep,
Because most likely they changed the matchmaking, so you need to have one carrier on both sides, and there are not really much people on tier 10 carriers as well, because if you lose them, you pay like 400k off, and it's like not tempting to play it if you don't have a premium. So I guess that's one of the reasons as well.
Well, so that's for all classes. That's just all tier 10s, North America, active tier 10 players.
Oh, you mean all
Yep.
All
classes,
classes.
not only
Yep.
CVs?
Nope,
Oh
not
my
just
god,
CVs.
that was
yeah.
actually small. That was
Yeah.
actually
Pretty
small.
small, yeah.
I
No
was
wonder
very
can't even
surprised.
find a match.
And so there are a couple others in there we'll talk about, but I thought you'd find that interesting as tier 10 players. So you must come across the same guys over and over again for the most part.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I know all the CV players I played with. Like when I see the ID, I know how good it is. I know what should I do for it.
Obviously there will be new players coming in and out also, like probably that's out of that 2% population, maybe, but like I do recognize all of them, almost.
All right, one last question for you, and then we'll let you guys go. You've been very gracious with your time here. If there's one CV player you don't want to come up against in a match, and you just dread it, or you just feel like it's not going to be fun, who is it?
Can I count a long time ago? Someone that's a
Sure.
long time ago?
Sure.
Mike Hunt, if anyone knows it. Anyone knows him.
What?
I think
what-
Sean might know him. Mike Hunt.
Mike Hunt? No,
I've heard of him. I've heard of him. Well, the last I heard, like he renamed himself or something. Is that
He
so
got
true?
he got renamed by the
System,
by
right?
Wargaming because his name was counted as something.
Oh,
That's not
the
really
innuendo.
good.
Yeah, got it. I mean, that was kind
Yeah.
of the funny part of the name. You know what he's
Yeah,
renamed to?
he's renamed user something like that. I can't
Oh,
remember
right.
the number.
He just
But
kept the
he's always
user
playing with
rename.
Pride Pickle before. Yeah. But he's always with Pride Pickle before, so Sean might recognize him. He's still playing till like last September I've seen him.
How about you,
But
Sean?
then-
Anybody in the game you come across that you just dread playing against? Or is that yourself?
Yeah, for me it's there's a guy called CV Enterprise. I don't know if
Oh,
you
that
guys
guy
heard of him or
too.
not. He's
Oh, that
he
guy
always
too.
showed up with a div of 3, and it's all really good player. And he always got these a escort and everything. Back then there was no a boost, so you're trying to snipe him and he's trying to snipe you. So, but I got no cover. I usually just play by myself. So you end up getting wrecked at first. So that's pretty frustrating. But I don't see him like playing recently anymore. So I don't really know what happened.
All right, there you have it. So if you come across these two, make sure you listen to what they said. And if you run into any of those other guys who haven't been around in a while, then I guess you're really in trouble. But with that, guys, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit and chat with us about Tier 10 CVs. Hopefully we can do something like this again with DDs coming up soon. And you might be on that docket too, Zuikaku. I don't know. You're pretty high
Well, I
up there
can
on
do
some
all
of that stuff.
classes. I can
Yeah.
do all classes except CVs, maybe. I can talk about CVs, but as I said earlier, I'm not really in favor of this class if I'm talking about confidence. Like, should be the worst performance. I have the worst performance on this class.
Yeah, we just try to spread around and try to get everyone involved. But all right, guys,
Yeah.
thanks, and we'll catch you on the.
See you guys next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
See.
See ya.